Hi readers, welcome back to my channel. It's Juan here. I hope you're doing great. If you're new here, I make videos about books, very often classic literature. And today I'm here to talk about all the books I read in the month of June 2022 and go through everything that I put out on my channel. So I started the month of June reading Dom Casmurro by Machado de Assis. Now, this is a 19th century Brazilian novel. It's widely available in English. All the links to all the books and all the videos, by the way, are in the show notes, so no worries there. This book is amazing. It's just one of my favorite books. I really enjoyed reviewing it. The review is there if you haven't seen it. No worries if you haven't read the book. My video about it could work as a way of explaining what the book is and kind of trying to entice you to read it. So if you want to find out a little bit about this book and see if it is for you, I really recommend you check out my review. I also read and review another classic, but this time from the 20th century, The Tartar Steppe by Dino Buzzati. Now, this is a novel from the 20th century. It's from the 1940s, but it came out in English translation a little bit later. It's an existentialist novel. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Kafka. I'm not the first person to say that. So if you kind of like that kind of 20th century existentialist novels, you know, stuff by Sartre or by Camus, for example, or if you like Kafka, perhaps have read everything by Kafka already, want to read something else, or want to read something that is Kafkaesque but more accessible, I really recommend The Tartar Steppe. It is a great novel. It is about this soldier who is sent to a fortress on the border, and the place apparently in the past was attacked by the Tartars, these barbarians who live on the other side. So the point of that fortress is to be ready for a potential attack. The problem is that the attack doesn't really happen for years. Now, whether it eventually happens or not, I'm gonna not talk about here. It's up to you to read the book and find out for yourself. It is a superb novel. I really recommend it. We also started a couple of reading challenges in June. The idea is that you would follow me and read along and so on. But it's the first month, so I guess people haven't gotten used to the idea yet. You can check out my TBR video. So there's a TBR video for June and there's also now a TBR video for July. And you can check those to see what my plans are for the year and then decide whether you want to join me in reading along or not. No worries if you can't, because the beauty is that the videos will all be available and you can watch them and you can read at your own pace whenever you like. But the two reading challenges that we started in June were reading Shakespeare. So we're going to read all of Shakespeare's plays, one or two a month. For the first month, I decided that one was enough. I just wanted to test the waters and I chose Hamlet, which is amazing. It's one of the best known tragedies by Shakespeare. It's timeless. The character of Hamlet is, you know, he's one of the most complex characters in the history of literature. I just loved reading Hamlet and I love talking about it. In my video, I give you a summary of the play, I give you a rundown of the characters, and I give you my analysis and also some context for the sources mostly of Hamlet. So, you know, that's there in the show notes if you'd like to check it out. And the other reading challenge that we started last month was reading the Bible. Again, we're going to read one book of the Bible at a time. And we started therefore with Genesis. So that was amazing. The Genesis is a lot more complex than I thought. It has a lot of different stories, so many characters. It's so complex. There's so much into it. So many things that before I read the Bible, I thought would take longer. They all take a lot less time than I thought, and they all happened in the Genesis. So like the Tower of Babel or Babel, Cain and Abel, obviously Adam and Eve, the creation, the story of Joseph, Noah's Ark, all of that in a bag of chips is what you're going to find in the Genesis. We're reading the Bible as a literary work, okay? So this is not a series of religious content or anything like that. This is suitable for people whether they're religious or not, and whether they belong to a specific religion or not. It just doesn't really matter. We're just reading the Bible as a classic. I'm really excited about those two reading challenges and I hope more people come on board as we proceed. I've also created playlists for both reading challenges or projects. So you'll find a playlist for Shakespeare and a playlist for the Bible. So depending when you're watching this, there may be more videos on those playlists. So the best way to check out where we're at with those is, apart from checking the wrap-ups and the TBRs, is to go and check those playlists. And I say that because you, particularly with Shakespeare, you might just be interested in a play or two and you might not want to read the whole thing. That's fine, you can pick and choose. So last month was very exciting because of those projects, but it was also very exciting because I reached 3,000 subscribers. So finally, after 3.5 years, more or less, I've gotten to a pretty decent number of subscribers. I'm very thankful for everyone who has subscribed to my channel over the years. Whether you did it 3 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago, or just last week, or you're doing it today, doesn't matter to me. Thank you so much. So I know this wasn't very original, but I decided I would do a Q&A. The idea was to, give you the chance to ask me whatever you wanted, so you can kind of like interview me in a way, because I'm conscious that I'm always talking about my opinions on books and I'm making the content I want to make, but I love getting feedback. So that was a nice way of getting feedback. So I made the call and you responded spectacularly. You sent me a lot of questions. A couple of the questions got to me a little bit later than I thought, so I had already made the video, so apologies for that. The video is there if you haven't watched it. Even if you didn't ask me any questions, it's fine. People ask me so many diverse questions about my life, about my reading, about my background, that if you want to find out a little bit more about me, I recommend you watch that video, which is entitled Answering Your Questions. Now, I also made 3 more videos last month, so there's still a lot to talk about here. I made a little video entitled How to Read Classics and Unlock Thousands of Great Books. So basically, it's just a series of tips that I give people, whether they already read classics or not. So the idea was, you don't read classics, how do you get into classics? What's the best way to get into classics? Based on my own experience, based as someone who has struggled to get into classics but now love them. If you already read classics but want to read more classics, the tips are also for you. So I hope you enjoyed that video. I reviewed 2 other books in June, which I read. One of them was Moon Tiger by the English writer Penelope Lively. I loved reading that book. That book is part of my 12 books for 2022 reading project. Again, one of those reading challenges that we're doing this year. I thought more people would read it, to be honest. I'm not disappointed that I chose it because it's such a great book, and I think the problem is that Penelope Lively probably doesn't have a lot of hype these days, so you might have not heard about her, but really watch that video to find out how amazing Moon Tiger is, and read Moon Tiger. It is a novel really worth reading. And the final book that I read last month, and what a way to finish the month, was The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann, which I have here. I should have shown you the other books, but I forgot to put them on the table. But anyway, I showed them to you in the respective videos, so why show the same thing twice, right? So The Magic Mountain, I love this novel. This was the second time I read this novel, and I enjoyed it a lot more than the first time, and I already enjoyed it the first time. So I reviewed The Magic Mountain when I originally read it. That was about 2 years ago, I think, or a year and a half ago. I went back to watch that video because the original idea was that I would just mention that in this video and I would link to that existing video from a year and a half ago. So I tried to watch it and it was so terrible. That video was so bad in every possible way. I did all the wrong things in that video. I didn't even manage to get my real passion for this book across. I don't know, it was terrible. So I immediately made that book video review private. So I didn't delete it, but it's not accessible anymore. You won't find it. And I've replaced it with a new review, which I think it's a lot better. And I think I am better at articulating how I truly feel about this masterpiece of German, European, universal literature. Watch that video. I don't want to repeat myself here. The Magic Mountain is amazing. Thomas Mann is one of my favorite writers already, even though I've read very little by him, but I will read more by him, I promise that. That was the month of June for me. Let me know what you read in the month of June, whether you read along any of the books, and perhaps you didn't comment on the videos. That's fine. You're not, I don't want to make you feel bad for not commenting, but it really helps me if you do. So please let me know if you've read any of those books. And if you didn't, please let me know what you read. I always love to hear what you guys read, and talking about it on the comment section is always so much fun. See you soon. Have a great month of July.